Politics is a very interesting game. The Deputy President, Dr. William Samoei Arap Ruto, is now ready to reconcile with President Uhuru Kenyatta, his boss, anytime, anywhere, any day, any hour, without any single condition. And the question which Kenyans are asking is just one. What changed?
Niko tayari. Hawa maaskofu wamesema wanataka kuniweka pamoja na rais. Mimi niko asubuhi na mapema bila condition. Kwa sababu mimi namheshimu rais. Yeye ni mdosi wangu. Kuna watu tu wakora wamekuja hapo wakaweka fitina mingi. Mpaka wakasemekana huyu deputy president uweke kando, sijui nini. Lakini mimi niko ready. Without condition, any moment, kwa sababu tulichaguliwa pamoja na Wakenya na walitupatia majukumu ya kuendesha serikali hii ya Kenya mbele kwa muda ambayo tumepatiwa. Wale wengine ambao wameleta fitina wangoje tuende kwa uchaguzi. Uweze kuja kutoea serikali ambayo wewe hukuunda. Ama namna gani? Si waende watafute vile tulienda kutafuta. Na watatukuta huko tukitafuta pia.
What changed? And you all understand that sometimes last month, President Uhuru Kenyatta challenged his deputy to resign if he was not satisfied with the government. And then a few days later, the allies of the Deputy President, Dr. William Samoei Ruto, came out and attacked President Uhuru Kenyatta ruthlessly. In fact, they targeted land ownership in the country. Then before Kenyans knew, Rafael Tuju and Amos Kimunya also came out and responded to the Deputy President. Rafael Tuju was very clear in his message that the Deputy President must ask his supporters and his allies to stop and desist from attacking President Uhuru Kenyatta and his family. And he warned that should they continue, they were also going to start attacking the Deputy President and his family, and he was not going to like it. That actually marked the end of that exchange. And recently, there are some pastors who came out that they want to try and reconcile President Uhuru Kenyatta and his deputy. It's not the first time such attempts are being made. But the question which Kenyans are asking is, why is the Deputy President now ready to reconcile with his boss without any condition? In my view, it means one thing, that the Deputy President has surrendered. And surrender is a tactic which we can find in Law 22 of the 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene. This is what Robert Greene is actually advising in Law 22. Let me just get it. Robert says in Law 22 that use the surrender tactics, transform weakness into power. And this is what the Deputy President is applying. The Deputy President has been cornered and is now weak and is now trying to transform that weakness into power. Now, Robert Greene is advising, when you are weak, never fight for honor's sake. Instead, choose surrender instead. So when you are weak, you should not fight. Just surrender. That's what the DP is saying. Is applying. Surrender gives you time to recover, time to wait for his power to win. So basically, the DP, this surrender will give the DP time to recover and the powers of the president to reduce. Because remember, the deputy president was controlling the larger Mount Kenya region. But based on recent happenings, I don't think he's tasting pretty that he's still doing that. So Robert is still continuing. Do not give him the satisfaction of fighting you and defeating you. Surrender first. So basically, the DP doesn't want to be defeated by President Uhuru Kenyatta in the larger Mount Kenya region. So it's basically applying the surrender tactics. By turning other cheek, you unsettle him. Make surrender a tool of power. That's what Robert Greene is advising. But I want to ask you a very simple question. Do you think the deputy president and President Uhuru Kenyatta can actually reconcile? Because from the deputy president side, he's saying he's willing to do this without any condition. The president, I don't think, would want that without any condition. I know even if there's no condition, there are certain terms he must put in place. But why do you think this reconciliation might not be possible? Basically, I want to explain to you guys why the DP is not willing to reconcile. But let me just explain why personally I think that's not going to work. Number one, why it might not work is what I can call sabotage and insubordination. President Uhuru Kenyatta has been sabotaged by his deputy. He has been insubordinated. In fact, the fact that the president reached out to Raila Odinga means he was not ready for sabotage, blackmail, what he experienced in the first term. So because of that sabotage, the president was very mad and said, okay, let it just be there. Number two, the fact that the deputy president has been using his allies to attack President Uhuru Kenyatta and his family is something that the president might not forgive easily. He might forgive the DP, but he might put condition that we are going for an election, I'm going to support you, but I don't want Ndindi Nyoro, I don't want Alice Sowahome, I don't want Susan Kihika, I don't want Rigathi Gachagua. Do you think the deputy president can compromise on those people? I don't think. But again, I don't think the president will be willing to share a podium with the people I've mentioned there. I don't think. Because there was a time he shared a podium with Ndindi Nyoro, and when it was the turn of Ndindi Nyoro to speak, I think it was during the Kenneth Matiba's funeral, I think so, the president stepped out. He couldn't listen. He couldn't stomach listening to Ndindi Nyoro speaking. He only came back after he had spoken. So, people like Oscar Sudi have been going directly to the Kenyatta's family. That's an area you should never touch. So I don't think the president would be willing to reconcile with the DP without resolving some of those. Number three is the Mount Kenya politics. You know, even if Uhuru Kenyatta is retiring, even if he's going to be a lame duck president, one thing the president would have wished was to continue controlling the larger Mount Kenya region, basically the Mount Kenya politics, so that who becomes a governor, he determines who becomes a governor, who becomes a senator, then he will be able to control those members of parliament. In the last 4 years, the deputy president has camped in the larger Mount Kenya region, explaining to those guys how the president has failed, how the president is the reason for their failures. He has come up with a strategy of hustlers versus dynasties, which actually picked like a bushfire in this country. So, because the DP will not be willing to cede ground, especially in the larger Mount Kenya region, I don't think the president will be willing to negotiate with him. The president will just attempt to win back the support, because the president and his team, the president and his team believes very strongly that it is the DP who set the citizens against him in the larger Mount Kenya region. And lastly is the early campaigns. You know, the president was very consistent sometimes back that stop early campaigns. By that time, it was not clear whether the president was playing Raila or he was playing Ruto, you know, but Ruto was just cautious, but the president was consistent. Stop early campaigns. I want to ask you a question. If you are elected a president of the Republic of Kenya and you are serving your second term, you win the second term, then immediately your deputy begins traversing the country, not to advance what you are doing, but to campaign for that 2022. Nobody would allow that. So the DP consistently turned the country into campaign mode. The DP is now willing to sit down with the president, to sit down with the team of pastors to reconcile. Why do you think the DP is now desperate for the president's support? Because the president has been a dynasty to him. The president welcomed people he was not willing to work with. The president has been that bad guy in the face of the DP and his allies. But the DP is now saying, let us come reconcile. Why do you think he's desperate for that? Number one is the Mount Kenya support. If there is one thing we can't run away from, is the fact that the DP needs Mount Kenya support than any other thing. The moment Mount Kenya will slip, that will mark the end of the DP. Now, that's the honest truth. And the DP is not willing to let that slip. But based on what's happening, Mount Kenya is organizing themselves. I can see Moses Kuria, Mwangi Kiunjuri, Martha Karua coming together. If they succeed in coming together, then it means that support they can transfer it to any other place or to any other person. And even the kind of support the DP used to enjoy, even online, has kind of reduced. In fact, the campaigns against BBI, this is the time is now being felt down there. So what the DP needs is President Uhuru Kenyatta's support. If the president can transfer his support to the DP, they'll seal Mount Kenya. That will be the end of Mount Kenya. They'll speak with one voice. So I think that's what the DP is trying to do, so that it's not seen to be someone who sabotaged the president. Even in his speech, he was like, Raila Odinga, Kalonzo, Weta, Mudavadi are the people who have caused problems in the country, and not the president, who is the commander-in-chief. And the DP has been consistent that we have only one commander-in-chief. That's number one. Number two, I think the second thing which is really worrying the DP is the fact that President Uhuru Kenyatta has remained silent. What is the president thinking about him? That's something which is really worrying the deputy president. If the president was reacting, at least the DP would be able to manage. But here is a situation, he's doing this, the president is just quiet. He's doing this, the president is quiet. He can only send Tojo to respond, sometimes Murade, sometimes Atuoli, or sometimes even Raila. But the president is silent. That silence by the president, in my view, is eating the deputy president. He doesn't know what the president is really thinking. Number three, why he is willing to do this? He doesn't want President Uhuru Kenyatta to endorse Raila Odinga. The moment President Uhuru Kenyatta will endorse Raila Odinga, game will be short. Whether Mount Kenya is going to support Raila or not, the fact of the matter is that if the president can utter or get out publicly and endorse Raila Odinga, then Raila Odinga support base, those who are undecided where they're going to vote, will go with Raila Odinga because they believe that's where power is. That again will attract those who are in business, those who would want to fund campaigns, risk their money. So they'll pump money into Raila Odinga's campaign. So the DP can do anything possible just to stop President Uhuru Kenyatta from endorsing Raila Odinga. And number three, why he's doing this, I think the DP is also keen on riding on President Uhuru Kenyatta's legacy project, especially the ones in the larger Mount Kenya region. The president has done a lot and is doing a lot currently. There are projects which are being seen, projects which are being launched, some are being finished. It's no longer about launching a road, putting a stone there, and then leaving it the way the DP used to do, to an extent that you go to Kisii, there's an MTC, where the foundation was laid in 2015, still there. You know, there are several stadiums. No, the president decided to focus on his legacy projects, and those legacy projects are taking shape. So the DP would want a situation where, as we head to the elections, he will be accompanying the president to launch project A, to launch project C, to launch project E. So that, because you see, when a project is done, you can't deny. The DP has been trying to ride on some of these, while where there's government failure, he attacks the president. So I think now he's willing so that he can ride on some of these Uhuru Kenyatta's legacy projects, especially the ones in the larger Mount Kenya region. Because soon, the president will be hitting the ground to launch some of them. And lastly, is the resources. People are talking in low tones that the deputy president resources have started going down. And because they've started going down, he'd want a situation where his relationship with the president is at least better, so that his people can be allowed to do business A, business B. He can be allowed to do A, B, C. If he has some money stashed abroad, those money can be easily brought back into the country without any problems. But right now, he's in problems the money outside cannot easily be brought into the country. The president and his team are frustrating that. So because of those reasons, personally, if you ask me, let me ask you, do you think these two gentlemen can reconcile? If you ask me, Uhuru and Ruto can reconcile, but not before the next general election. They'll reconcile after the 2022 general election. But again, in politics, anything is possible. Who knew that Uhuru and Ruto were going to work together? Who knew? Nobody. But they've worked together. They worked together. In fact, in the first time, they worked very smoothly. Only that we're now learning that by 2015, they had fallen out. But the truth is, publicly, they worked very closely. Thank you guys, and may you have a good day. Bye-bye.